Okay, in today's video, we are going to be kind of talking about or reacting to Film Theory's Jax is not who you think he is video. And they did say they were going to do this video. I don't exactly know what this is going to be about. It's pretty bit of theory or something, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Jax from the Amazing Digital Circus is not who he appears to be. Sure, he's hidden his true thoughts and feelings for this entire show, but beyond that, there might be an even bigger secret that this purple rabbit is hiding, and to find it, we gotta get digging. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that—
I need to make sure I haven't got... But I need to make sure I didn't have my mic and I'm whipping pretty bad.
can escape if you just push that big red subscribe button. Go on, just slap it. Please, it's right there. And real quick, but special announcement, in the near future, you're gonna see an entire movie get uploaded to this channel. Yeah, the movie studio Lionsgate reached out to us and asked if we were interested in posting some of their movies completely for free. And I said, yeah, of course. So I just didn't want that catch you completely off guard. Here's your heads up. Also, expect to see a bonus theory about that movie later in the week. It's a fun experiment. But anyway, back to the Amazing Digital Circus. So the finale for the Amazing Digital Circus is almost here. And man, this is just such an exciting time to be a fan of indie animation. The Digital Circus fandom and subreddit are some of the most passionate out there, theorizing and dissecting every second and frame of this show. And you know, I wanted one last go at it before this finale drops.
It's crazy how much people dissect anything from a show. Like, even Gravity Falls has ended for, like, I don't know, a whole decade now, probably even longer, I don't remember. People are still theorizing that. To be fair, they did just recently release the Book of Bill and stuff, but, like, they theorized that for, like, years, where Bill can return, etc. Like, shows that have died, or, like, cancelled or ended, people still theorize on the ending because they get left not on a cliffhanger but on an ending that like can lead to a bunch of theories, you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah.
Time we talked about just how tragic the story of the Amazing Digital Circus's ringleader Cain really was. Something even
Honestly, sometimes people like there are some theories or like other stuff that like are really reaching. But yeah. I had to point out because some people like
evidence thanks to his death in episode 8. And I originally had a small section at the end of that script talking about how Cain's demise was going to leave a power vacuum open for another character to step up into the role of the bad guy. But, well, that last video was 25 minutes long, and that small section kept growing into a multi-page idea. So I had to call it. That needed to be its own video. So here we are. Let's not waste any time, loyal theorists.
I think most people think Jax can take over the circus. I will say I will be surprised if Jax does, like, it does seem like Jax will take over the circus, but I feel like that might not be. I feel like it's misleading, and maybe the circus is just trying to save Jax or something at the last moment because him extracting could sabotage their plan, etc. And yeah, there's a bunch of stuff could happen. He could take over the circus, which I wouldn't mind. There's also another theory that I saw in my last video where like they're going through his memories, or his head at the very least, going through his memories. That's probably why we get a memory or flashback of Ribbit, which I wouldn't hate either, to be honest, just depending on how it's done. And yeah.
Circus is falling apart, and along with it, so is Jax. So grab a bucket and throw it on your head, because we're diving straight on in. So a lot has been going on with Jax since we last really checked in with him and talked about how his character was going. We've learned about his philosophy in the circus, about how he believes that the castmates all fall into archetypes and that they should just embody them, about how he used to be close friends with other characters like Ribbit before she abstracted, about how so much of his prickly jerk persona is...
I think some people thought, from episode 6, we kind of literally realised that Jax was friends with Cosmo. I don't know if anyone really even thought of that, but like, obviously, yeah, I don't really think anyone even thought that Jax was friends with Cosmo. I'm gonna assume that after Ribbit abstracted Cosmo, that fell out, because not just that, I feel like if they were friends still, Jax would definitely felt more depressed or sad after Cosmo left, which he probably did, but like not to the extent that after Rabbit left. I'm also gonna assume that like even like Ragnar, as Ragnar knew they were really close friends, she would probably try to comfort him in a way. But you know, for the fact that she didn't, I'm gonna assume that they did have a fallout. Of course, they were close friends, but they probably did have a fallout after Ruby. I think most people think Cosmo and Jax had a fallout after Rebel Subtraction, or something led to that fallout. And I'm assuming, from what most people theorize, or that most people think, that Jax calls, or at least Cosmo blames Jax for Rebel Subtracting, especially from that line in episode 6. Which also could be Ragnar.
Just armor that he wears so he doesn't let anyone else in. And in episode 7, we see Jax pushed almost to his breaking point. Like, legit, Jax almost abstracts at the beginning of that story, in a scene that accurately recreates how it looks and feels to not sleep for a few days. Shout outs to Insomnia, it's not a fun time, kids. Then, at the climax of this adventure, when it looks like the cast may have a chance to actually escape, Jax rushes forward and pushes the button.
Clear if Kane was really messing with his head or not, just his line, it sounds like it was. Second of all, I'm assuming he messed with his head on made him remember stuff that he does. Made him remember reasons he doesn't actually want to return. Like, everyone there probably has a reason they wouldn't want to return to the real world. You know what I mean? But like, Kane messes with Jax's head to make him have the reason. I feel like if he messes with anyone else's head, it would be, if he messed with anyone else and made them do it, it would have been way more obvious, to be honest. Because if someone Pomni did it, or Kinger did it, or even Gangle did it, or Zubul did it, or Ragnar did it, I feel like all those would give such a reason. I guess you can see Ragnar doing it, like, realistically, because, you know, yeah. But like, Jax is always one to mess with his head if Kane did mess with their heads.
That means they all stay. It's a huge moment for the character, and one that also reveals just how futile the attempt to escape even is, since nothing about this adventure or escape was even real. And somehow, it just doesn't end there for new insights we get into Jax. There's a great moment in episode 8 where the cast are doing their best to distract Kane, while Kinger goes into the code of the circus to change Kane. However, Kane starts to catch on.
Also, I do want to say this, I wouldn't, like, hate us to get like a mini series, like shorts or whatever, of just flashbacks of Kane doing like adventures or something. Even if it's like a short with like advert merch and stuff like that, I wouldn't hate that, because I would keep the fandom alive, and I wouldn't hate seeing Kane actually come up with these adventures to us. That would be quite fun. Like his adventures for past experiences, ones we see in the show, and new ones we have no idea about. That could be a fun mini series. Although I doubt they're going to do that, because I think obviously Gooseworks and other show creators or indie shows don't really like to milk their show. Although having 2 seasons isn't really milking it, but then again, I guess they want to have more impact in every episode, you know what I mean?
Oh, any better? It seems like you're trying
I still love
Where's
that line.
Kinger?
Just terrifying line delivery there, to be honest. And in a last-ditch attempt to keep Kane's hundreds of all-seeing eyes off Kinger, Pomni makes a pretty dangerous choice.
We think your idea sucks!
She starts antagonizing Kane as a last resort, and the others follow suit. And they just really lay into him, telling him that they make fun of his adventures behind his back. They vent about their real feelings.
Generally, like, obviously after Pomni said, I think everyone just started laying into their real feelings. I think Pomni didn't, maybe the last line was the true feelings, but in general it doesn't, you just feel like obviously she's just doing it to obviously distract Kane. Everyone else actually generally feels like that, because obviously they've been in it longer. Zubul, I think, hasn't been in it as long as the rest. I think she got in it after, before Pomni, like, by not even that much, I think.
And as we've talked about in the last episode, this really preys on Kane's weaknesses and fears. And of course, this causes our smiling friend to just absolutely crash out as he glitches and distorts.
I'm gonna put you freaks in your place!
What comes next is a bit of a window into what each of our characters really fear. They're taken to dark voids where they're antagonized by, well, a lot of...
Okay, I don't know why my dad called me and I was having to do something, so yes. So you want, okay, let's get back into this. I'm going to be a bit more quiet. I'm trying to get this recorded for everyone wakes up, to be honest, because it is still in the morning, and when people up, it is loud. Alright, yeah, let's get into us.
Attacked by realistic candy crocodiles resembling Gummy Goo and his friends from episode 2, mauling her and biting into her limbs. Ragatha is forced to sit at a dining table with several other dolls.
I think some people think that's why he probably dies, maybe being bitten by dogs or whatever, if she's dead. Or something happened, or maybe it was just alligators that killed her.
Have been stabbed with knives. A figure stands at the head of the table, resembling a distorted version of Ragatha herself, and knives start flying into Ragatha's doll body.
Wait, I've had full feeling that, but I'm pretty sure myself including most people think that's her mum. It could also be what she thinks she will become, I guess. Her mother, that's her fear, her becoming her mother. But it's probably just her abusive mother traits, and that's why it's going on. I don't think anyone thought it was Ragatha. Like I say, it could be what she fears to become, but yeah.
Gangle is thrown into a room full of art, representing her comedy and tragedy masks, while Zubul is taken to a room with hundreds or thousands of body parts, trying to drag them down, all while being forced to look in a mirror. Oh, hey, wait, do you see that thing in the mirror? What is that?
This one solves today's video.
Why can't I find any diamonds? I wish.
But what happens when 3 people sit around a cauldron and debate the spiciest fakes we can find? This is dead wrong.
If you're going from like a vibes perspective, I was putting that.
Why does he keep going up? Yeah.
DS under the pillow. Think of putting my PC under the pillow.
How many Star Trek movies are there?
Can you tell me why geese are so angry all the time?
Welcome to Just a Theory, the show where your favorite YouTube personalities compete in trivia and challenges.
But not without a healthy dose of wild card chaos.
Hi, my name is Tom.
I'm Ty.
My name is Yossi. Welcome to Insider Theory, the show that takes a deep dive into the lore of Theorist itself. We decided to do an updated timeline. When we finished, it ended up being 40 pages.
I don't know games. I, Amy, play my friend's favorite games. And hopefully that can help me become a better gamer. Don't touch my controls! I am a...
Oh, and you got play of the game!
Play the game!
That's impressive.
Securely fasten your wrist straps, loyal theorists, because we are about to take a swing at locating Woohoo Island.
What is the best food emoji to represent the one-eyed trouser snake?
Theoryverse lets us open those doors and do whatever we gosh darn well please. I can curse on here if I want. Introducing Theoryverse. So what the heck is this? It's our new fan society where for the price of a cup of coffee you can get a ton of new shows and exclusive theories we couldn't possibly do on YouTube. You know, mature or silly stuff ranging from Deadpool's substance habits, the deep lore of everything from Game of Thrones to the Powerpuff Girls, to how the Avengers would all be fighting each other, if you know what I'm saying. Don't worry, nothing here on YouTube is going away. That will always be free. This is just even more from us, and I am so excited for you to see it when it launches later this month. We'll have more info soon, so stay tuned, but for now, back to the amazing digital circus. Now,
like, let's be honest, like, if someone does, like, exclusive content for a certain platform while still posting for free on this, well, it's still on YouTube, but while still posting for free, I don't hate it. I don't know why people would hate it, because you're still getting free content, it's just people who actually pay get extra free content. For example, if you order Sidemen, they have Side Plus where they release exclusive content, which, you know, is good content. but like you'll just have to pay for it instead of it being free, which...
On the face of things, every one of these situations is terrifying. But if you've been following our theories, you'll also know that each of them have an additional layer. Each of the castmates' bodies have been created to perfectly represent their mind files, as Kane put it, but that also means that they've incorporated much of their own insecurities and mental struggles into those bodies. We've talked at length about how Zubul struggles with body dysmorphia similar to many non-binary folks. And though we can't diagnose her, Gangle does exhibit many of the symptoms of bipolar disorder.
I think realistically, Gangle's body and like traits in the show would be the worst to be stuck in, out of the main cast of course, because we know the original cast how they look, but like in general you're a ribbon and you also can't express your feelings most of the time because what's around Jax breaks your comedy mask, which would suck. Like, I don't know why the masks are breakable. I feel like if Kane just made it so they're not breakable, it'd be great, but obviously this is obviously to express that trait and stuff. Yeah.
Presented by those masks. Like, of course those details would haunt those two here. The Gangle section also incorporates art becoming, like, monstrous, using details from her back.
I think Zubul's probably the only kind of thing that's technically mentioned. Ragfa, yeah, her mum is mentioned a bit briefly, but in episode 3 we know the Zubul hates her body parts literally from episode 3. We only knew about Ragfa's mum from episode 5. So we definitely knew like Zubul thing the most. Obviously, Zubul and Gangles I would say got past most of them. I think Ragford and Jax are the worst just on how they look. Obviously it would be way worse to maybe from what they experienced, but from the way they look, Ragford and Jax is definitely the worst.
Story as a quote-unquote failed artist and ends with her getting hit by a truck. That's a detail from episode 4 that I've never really found a way to bring up, but it's heavily implied that Gangle was involved in some sort of automotive collision that caused...
Could be Jax. I know Jax got in way before the circuit, way before Gangle did. Jax could have hit him, hit her, put the headset on sometime later to escape, and then obviously, you know, while Gangle was in the hospital, she woke up, she ended up finding a similar headset and put it down, or someone gave her a headset to put on to rest, to like help her relax, and she obviously never came out.
Deep-seated trauma. Something perfect for Kane to pick up here for these horror sessions. And using that as a jumping-off point, we can learn a lot about the other members of the cast here. The fact that Pomni is haunted by monstrous versions of Gummy Goo and his friends probably tells us that she feels really guilty about them in some way. That what she might view as a failure to help Gummy Goo escape is metaphorically gnawing on her, like the crocodiles are literally gnawing on her. As for Ragatha, clearly this is showing us some form of familial trauma. Being at this dinner table is the opposite of a safe place for Ragatha, and this figure in the shadows, this silhouette, which may represent her mother or matriarch of this...
At the very least, he did bring it up. I was honestly gonna say I'm surprised he didn't mention this way before. He said it was like, like I said, it could easily be the fact that she fears to become this, let's be honest here. Because she's obviously picturing her mum in similar body to her, because she probably can't remember what she looks like. But in general, this could easily be what she fears to become like her mother. Or it could just be her mother and this is what she went through on a daily basis, etc.
Family is hurting her. She's disappointed it in some way. Yeah. Or perhaps this is a reflection of Ragatha and she's worried that she is like this. Or becoming like this. Perhaps turning into her mother? There's a lot here. But the vision that Jax sees and why we've spent so much time talking about it here is just fascinating. See, in his space, he's surrounded by silhouettes that are laughing at him, and at first they appear to just be regular default people. But as they spin and spin around Jax, we see them approach and turn into silhouettes resembling Pomni, Kaufmo, and Ribbit. Yeah, the clown who abstracted in the first episode and the frog we've seen in other flashback material. As the story has gone on, we've seen how close that Kaufmo and Ribbit were to Jax. These three were a group of good friends, which also makes it tragic that Jax doesn't allow himself to publicly grieve for Kaufmo after we see him abstract in episode 1 and during his funeral in episode 2. We all
I think sure this was kind of...
also see his friendship with Pomni slowly develop throughout the series, how they became close, how Jax pushes Pomni away after he realizes just how much he's opened up to her and how she doesn't let him get away with it. But it doesn't stop there. Eventually, these silhouettes pull on Jax, and in what might be one of the most brutal moments in this show, they literally rip the skin off of this cartoon rabbit. He becomes a bare, almost wooden-looking rabbit outline. I mean, you don't get much clearer than this, right? Jax is terrified of opening up to others because of the way he's worried that they're gonna react. His biggest fear here, the thing that Cain is playing off of, are the people Jax cares about the most laughing at him, ridiculing him, that their relationships weren't real and never were, and that they won't like the real Jax underneath it all.
That one scene feels so weird and wrong to look at. And you don't look at that. I don't know what to say.
Enough, that's very similar to what Cain was feeling, isn't it? Wanting the validation of the people they really care about.
Yeah, it feels weird that Cain cannot understand the rest, but he can only use, but he can understand what they're feeling in the fact that they're torturing. It could also just be the fact that he maybe access their mind just to show them their fears. But then again, you can also argue why doesn't he just do that to show them how to get along with them, or how to communicate with them, or what best to communicate with each individual in the circus. He could probably did that, to be honest, now I'm looking back on it, but yeah.
Which also makes me wonder how exactly Jax is going to respond to the current predicament the cast find themselves in at the end of the episode. See, in episode 7, when Jax freaked out and chose the option that would keep the cast in the circus, even though it didn't end up being a real choice, the rest of the characters were furious with Jax for ruining the adventure and their chance to escape, whether or not—
You say the rest of the characters of the cast, it's mainly Zooble, but like, I understand why. I said, even, like, Cain, he still did it, even if we don't even know if Cain messed with his head or not. We only saw him getting flashbacks, which could also be involved just him doesn't want to leave Saga in general in the end of the story, or him just getting random flashbacks of his past in that room. But the only problem is, it doesn't make sense that someone randomly gets a flashback of their past and no one else in the circus has had flashbacks, or at least got flashbacks this time. In the main cast, it seems no one's got flashbacks that we've seen anyway of their past. So it feels weird that Jax will get flashbacks in that one specific moment that can decide if they leave or stay.
It actually would have worked.
Well, really hate to say it, guys, but I told—
Don't you even! Do not even—
I thought, oh, gotta love that.
In this game, NPCs age with time, and the weather syncs with your own city. Yes, you heard it right.
Begin to say that sentence like you didn't try to keep us all trapped here forever.
So, will the cast offer that same energy to Kinger for quote-unquote messing up too? And when they likely won't, will that make Jax angry that they weren't upset at Kinger like they were at him? Honestly, it's enough to make me worry about where exactly Jax is going.
That is a good point. Like, still, by the way, Jax and Kinger are all my favorite characters by far. If, like, for example, Kinger basically doomed them all, and it definitely technically calls them maybe to be hopeless and doomed. King basically doomed them all. I doubt anyone in that room is actually gonna like be mad at Kinger. I don't think Ganger would. Zooble maybe, but I don't think they would. Pomni probably wouldn't. Like, she wasn't really mad at Jax at all. No time she was mad at Jax playing episode 6. Dragonfly, I don't know, and Jax probably would, or maybe find it just like thingy. But then again, I don't know if Jax would really care about that, so we'll see.
Here, like, as a character, and that's only been compounded by other details that keep popping up. See, the poster for the theatrical release of the last act does feature all of the characters, but one more prominently than the others. Yes, Pomni, Zooble, Kinger, Gangle, and Ragatha are all walking through this maze, but Jax's head and face are all over this. In fact, this whole topsy-turvy version of the circus is like coming—
I like the idea that maybe they'll be going through Jax's head or mental state in this episode, which is the last episode of the show. And it's not all about Jax. Of course, everyone else probably have really good moments to shine because everyone else is on this poster. But like in general, also just notice there's actually butterflies there, which is obviously King and stuff. But yeah. Also, King still has the bucket on, even though the whole circus has gone dark. So I don't understand what that is, but sure.
Of his head. It's like an MC Escher painting. Likewise, the thumbnail for the trailer for episode 9 is just a close-up on Jax's face, but it's different. Gone are the emotions, the fear and the funny, and in its place we see unnaturally wide eyes and an uncanny smile. This right here is the look of a horror villain. Now, to be clear, they've used imagery and shots of these characters that didn't make it into the final episodes as thumbnails for the trailers before, so that doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to be in the show itself. But just like they used an image of Kane standing in for Truman in a thumbnail inspired by The Truman Show, they are clearly signaling intent here. Jax is the villain, the bad guy, or at the very least, the antagonist for the final part of this story. Now, to be clear, I'm not trying to say that Jax has secretly been...
I know Gooseworks said that only real fans of Jax would survive this, and most people would still hate Jax after this episode, so he definitely does something. That I'm pretty sure Gooseworks did literally say that Jax is unforgivable, especially in this last episode or something like that. That was an unforgivable thing, which you're gonna see a lot of people hating him or stuff like that. And for this, but I'm probably still gonna love Jax as a character because honestly, great character. I like the guy as a character. Okay.
Plotting this, that he's actually an evil AI buried deep inside of the circus that wanted Kane gone and is now unshackled and can torture the rest of the cast. While I did think that might be the direction they were going at some point, now it's a much better story if Jax is himself a tragic character that can't deal with this new reality and steps up into that sort of ringleader role here in the broken circus. We know that characters can all conjure or change things like Kane could, but they're just not as naturally good at it. Well, that leaves open a lot of space for one of them to really step up into that role.
The only problem with this is literally Jax wasn't there when he explained that like Kinga could conjure stuff. Literally that he wasn't there, so he wouldn't know this information. And he could just do it on the spot and like think of something really desperate, and maybe the circus reshapes itself because he's the first one to think of something, and the circus reshapes itself to structure Jax's thoughts. That could be what's going on, and if this is correct, I'll talk about this later. That could easily be what's going on. Like I said, he wasn't really there when Kia talked about that everyone in the class can conjure stuff. It's obviously harder for them, but probably depends on their mental state and stuff.
That good, and to use those conjuring powers to become the next Kane, so to speak. And of everyone, even Kinger, Jax seems to have the most control here in the circus.
You can pretty much do whatever you want. Just let loose.
But there may be another reason why Jax would be a good fit to step up into this villain or antagonist role, into the ringleader. See, despite basically being the second most important character in the show behind Pomni, how much do we actually know about Jax and his backstory? Like, hard facts. What has he told us versus how much that we've had to infer? We know that he's scared.
I do wonder if him, like, that Breaking Bad reference is actually true, and he just hid it behind a reference so Zubul will call him out on it, and people obviously won't just suspect he's lying. Like that, I think I said that in my reaction. I've definitely said it in the past. That could be like I don't know if I said it on video in the past, but that could easily be like false and true, just hidden behind lies. And 100% could have a lung cancer diagnosis. Can't know if I'm talking correctly. But he might have lung cancer, and he hid it behind a Breaking Bad reference, so Zubul will call him out on it, because obviously Jax knows Zubul's been there, was there when Breaking Bad was airing and stuff like that. And Gang will probably realise too, probably would have. So yeah, people will just call him out that he's just lying.
Of Korn, we figured out that he was close to Kaufmo and Ribbit, and we know that his cruel personality is more of a coping mechanism than what he actually is and wants to be. And it doesn't seem like he actually has anyone that misses him, or even knows that he's in the circus.
What's the rush? You got someone waiting for you outside?
Don't you?
Domino's Price Slice. A bargain whichever way you slice it.
Switching to Vodafone is now easy with one-touch switch.
I hate getting that.
We sort everything out for you.
Yeah.
I will say that could just be the fact that he doesn't think anyone would miss him outside circus, but also could be the fact that he didn't. But literally, he thought life here was better, and outside circus he really had no one to rely on. Like I said, no one to trust, no one who would really miss him when he's gone. It could still, like I said, it could just all be in his head, and he actually did have still people who still care for him or not. But there's a high chance that he had no one compared to this line, because it's just one way further line. I doubt it. This probably does mean something in the future. We'll see. Hopefully.
There may have been other tidbits of information here or there that Gooseworks has mentioned online, but that's all we really know about Jax that we see for sure. So I have to wonder, is Jax really who he thinks he is? Is he actually who we're being led to believe? Now, I know, the series doesn't really lean into the idea of big reveals or twists you can theorize about. Yeah. We've talked about that in depth, but listen, man, Jax has been acting weird, like beyond just freaking out and almost abstracting. Jax has really been acting out of character. When it looks like the group might actually escape the circus, Jax starts freaking out. He's hyperventilating and like...
Since episode 7 and 8, he's completely gone out of character. At the end of episode 6, he broke character. Then in episode 7, he kind of just stopped trying when he was in front of Polly. Episode 8, he literally just like paused for a second and had to think about it.
We said at the top of the episode, he freaks out and aborts the adventure. It's possible that he's terrified to leave because he's lonely or doesn't like the life he left behind, but what if he doesn't actually know a life outside of the circus? Like, he literally didn't have one. On top of that, did you notice Jax's reaction here during Kinger's exposition dump?
What is going on right now?
He's not being his typical self. He's not making snide comments or sniping at anyone else. He looks genuinely confused. Now, this could be for a lot of reasons. I mean, they are getting pretty life-changing information here, but Jax's typical reaction to even that is ridicule. It's to laugh in the face of the terrible circumstances they're stuck in.
I think that's literally probably the fact that he thought it was all a dream or something like a simulation or something. He thought none of them were real. Even himself probably wasn't real. Just from that, when he went out, he just said this is all real. So that's probably why he acted like that, personally.
Or deflect the feelings of his castmates into jokes and jabs. That's not what's happening here. And not only that, but he ends this interaction early.
I should go distract Kane so he doesn't listen in on this.
And then he just leaves. And right after getting outside, he says,
"Oh my god."
Okay, he does. Okay, I was gonna say.
This is such a visceral experience. We hear the ringing in Jax's ears. The pupils on his eyes start freaking.
I will say, from people's reactions I've seen, a lot of people just like skipped over this. Like, maybe not a lot, but people's reactions I have seen, people are like, okay, that could happen, and then moved on because King Ozzy was telling like great lore before after it, so people just kind of wanted more of the lore, and then this kind of fell under the radar a bit because it only happened for like a couple seconds, like 5 seconds.
Out. He is having a panic attack, almost on the verge of abstraction, all because of the revelations made here. Or perhaps because of one very specific revelation. Listen to this.
His circus name was Scratch. That man was a genius.
Wait,
Notice how Jax is basically hyperventilating in the back here at the mere mention of Scratch and his real life? At all of this backstory lore info dump about how the circus was created and who created it? Well, given the idea that we think Scratch helped create the circus to find a way to live despite the tumor in his brain? Well, what if it worked? What if somehow Jax is Scratch? A new version of this character somehow recycled and resurrected back into the circus. Does that...
I could see that happening. I know a lot of people I've seen this theory floating around there, that's Jax is Scratch. I haven't really seen people talk about how it could be true.
Found out there? Yes, it absolutely does, and I wasn't even sure I wanted to talk about it until I heard this. Yeah, the thing that solidified this idea for me was the fandom pointing out that when you play the clip of Pomni saying Jax's name from the episode 9 trailer backwards, it sounds like she's saying something else. Listen.
Jax. Scratch.
Did you hear that? Here, listen again.
Jax. Scratch.
She's saying...
Okay, that is... What the fuck? Okay, so that actually caught me off guard. I don't think I've seen anyone talk about this part, but like, it does sound like Scratch because Jax, and then obviously the music, it sounds like Scratch in in it. Ooh. No. I was gonna try and play it backwards, but no. That's like the most painless video, but I'm like, oh my god.
Scratch. Now, part of me is still skeptical here. I mean, we've tried to theorize time and time again about the deep secrets of the series, only to be met time and time again with no as an answer. I just can't.
I can see Scratch or Jax, if Jax and Scratch are the same person, getting his memories back in this episode, and like, you know, completely going off the deep end or whatever.
Get around the fact that some hidden lore
but that also means Scratches. That also means Jax is old, and Jax has probably been technically the longest from compared to Kingo, which Jax obviously mentioned in episode 1. So yeah, I actually don't hate the idea that Scratch is Jax or Jax is Scratch. I kind of don't mind that. It depends on how they play it off and how they make. Because Scratch has been mentioned in 2 episodes. And so I feel like he definitely is going to be brought up at least in this episode somewhere.
Complex way out of this situation just doesn't seem to be the direction this series is going. This is like very much a show about accepting the hand that you've been dealt, finding meaning in a life that isn't glitzed up to the max, and being happy with the good things that you do have. And that's why I'm hesitant to plant a flag and say something like,
so who the hell is listening to the Main Circus episode 9 trailer backwards? Like, I get like it's theorizing and stuff, but like, I'm not listening to that backwards. No way.
Jax is secretly not Jax, but the connections here are a lot. It's enough that I'm planting that flag, and I can't wait to see if I'm right or so very wrong. And I'm not gonna lie, it would be absolutely crazy.
Like I said, I don't hate the idea of Jax and Scratch. I kind of hope it's true, to be honest, but like, it really depends. Like, as ideas that feel really good or feel really bad, it just depends on the execution. If the execution is super good, I would love it. If the execution is bad, it would feel like such a crap idea. You know what I mean? Anyway.
It was revealed that Jax is actually secretly an AI, and
we know he's not an AI because Netflix technically confirmed it, although that could just be Netflix making an error or something. But Jax is not an AI from the looks like, because you know they say 6 humans. I'm pretty sure there's 6 members, right? Yeah, there's 6 members altogether, I think. And he said 6 humans or something like that.
Freaking crash out, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. Up next on Film Theory. I'd freaking crash out, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, that's just a theory.
Stop disliking my Avengers. Oh my god, where's that from?
A film theory. And cut. Okay. Up next on Film Theory. Kane from the Amazing Digital Circus is dead and gone.
I don't know what the film theory will be about, but I'm looking forward to it all in all. All in all, that was a great thing. Like I said multiple times now, I don't hate that Scratches Jax. It could also be a coincidence, but like the fact that like it goes backwards and it somehow sort of like Scratch, which is actually a character in the Minnesota, the chance of being a coincidence is like really high. I paused way more after in this video, to be honest. Like I said, Scratch will probably be brought up at the very least in episode 9. Whether he will be Jax or not will be a thing, but I do. Sorry, I do know people are really like theorizing a lot that Jax is Scratch somehow. I didn't really watch the theories or whatever. I kind of thought it was way too much of a stretch, but because of that one thing that they showed, like with the backwards thing, like episode 8-9 straight up backwards saying Jax, and then it's backwards it's saying Scratch. That actually makes you believe the theory a bit, and it could be possible. It could also be possible this is probably just from a different. Play it backwards, don't really make a different order. Leslie somehow make a different order, and then King and maybe probably still want to do King about Scratch. That could be possible. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Without further ado, see you guys have subscribed or stuff. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys think Scratch is Jax or Jax is Scratch?